Morning, readers. Making sure that we're streaming here. Okay, I think we're streaming okay. So good morning. Today is Friday, July 24th. And being the 24th of July, it is the equivalent of Christmas Eve day for those of you who are celebrating Christmas in July. I have a book funnel, a book participating in book funnel today has kinds of other Christmas books there from other authors that you can take a look at. Download those in Kindle or EPUB formats. I'll include a link in the comment section. And as well, I've got a blog post up telling you about my various different books that are Christmas or December holiday books. And I'm going to do a quick reading from one of those for you today. And so you can take a look at my blog post. Of course, top of the list is Santa Shortbread, which just released last week. And since I did a reading from that one last week, I decided to pick a different one for this week. So I have a reading from She Wore Mourning, which is the first book in the Zachary Goldman series. And so I've just picked out a quick selection here. Tells you a little bit about how Zachary feels about Christmas, which, heads up, he doesn't like it. All right. After he had hung up, Zachary climbed into his car, putting his camera down on the floor in front of the passenger seat where it couldn't fall, and started the car. For a while, he sat there, staring out the front windshield at the magical, sparkling Christmas card scene. Every year, he told himself it would be better. He would get over it and be able to move on and to enjoy the holiday season like everyone else. Who cared about his crappy childhood experiences? People moved on. And when he'd married Bridget, he'd thought he was going to achieve it. They would have a fairy tale Christmas. They would have hot chocolate after skating at the public rink. They would wander down Main Street looking at the lights and at the crèche in front of the church. They would open special, meaningful presents from each other. But they'd fought over Christmas. Maybe it was Zachary's fault. Maybe he had sabotaged it with his gloom. The season brought with it so much baggage. There had been no skating rink, no hot chocolate, only hot tempers. No walks looking at the lights or the nativity. They'd practically thrown their gifts at each other, flouncing off to their respective corners to lick their wounds and pout away the holiday. He'd still cherished the thought that perhaps the next year there would be a baby. What could be more perfect than Christmas with a baby? It would unite them, make them a real family, just like Zachary had longed for since he'd lost his own family. He and Bridget and a baby, maybe even twins, their own little family in their own little happy bubble. But despite a positive pregnancy test, things had gone horribly wrong. Zachary stared at the bright white scenery and blinked hard, trying to shake off the shadows of the past. The past was past, over and done. This year, he was back to batching it for Christmas. Just him and a beer and It's a Wonderful Life on TV. He put the car in reverse and didn't even look into the rearview mirror as he backed up, even knowing about the precipice behind him. He'd deliberately parked where he'd have to back up toward the cliff when he was done. There was a guardrail, but if he backed up too quickly, the car would go right through it, and who could say whether it had been accidental or deliberate. He'd been cold, stone sober, and he'd been out on a job. Mrs. Hildebrandt could testify that he'd been calm and sober during their call. It would be ruled an accident. But his bumper didn't even touch the guardrail before he shifted into drive and pulled forward onto the road. He'd meet with the grandmother. Then, assuming he did not take the case, there would always be another opportunity. Life was full of opportunities. All right, so that's from the first chapter of She Wore Mourning, first book in the Zachary Goldman series. And it is on sale for Christmas July at just 99 cents on Kindle. So you can pop over and buy that if you like. Pick up your copy of Santa Shortbread and any of the other books in my blog that catch your fancy. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.